Feels like back to school. My name is Debbie Crane Campanella, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. And I wanted to just remind you that there's a lot of ways for us to get information here at UUCA. The order of services, the weekly announcements, the newsletter, Instagram, Facebook, website. So lots of ways to get informed. Today, I'd like to remind you of what's coming up this coming week. On Sunday, August 25th at 12 p.m., that's after the service today, Good Trouble team will meet in Reverend Nick's office to discuss how we can get involved with UU the Vote. I'm on doing that. It's exciting. Everyone is invited. Sunday, August 25th at 12:25 at 12:30 also, we're going to be having the board meeting, and that'll be in the common room. I just found that out. I thought it was 1:30. Okay. Excuse me, on Sunday, September 8th, we're going to have an in-gathering at 11 a.m. and potluck at Reverend Filzen's house. Wow, that sounds good. That'll be at 1 p.m. Everyone is cordially and enthusiastically invited to attend both in person to celebrate the 70th anniversary of this church. Ooh. The September newsletter submissions are due on Monday, August 26th. And we have the jazz series coming up. That's next Friday night. And that's going to be featuring Fabio Mann with the Soul Town Horns. Jim and I are registered, and we hope to see many of you there. And special guest is going to be Josef. Thank you. That's going to be Friday, August 30th at 7:30. So we hope as many of you can come as possible. And tickets are $20 or $10 for students and active military. Save the date, Saturday, November 2nd, for the annual UUCA Fall Fundraiser, service auction and chili cook-off. And please remember not to bring any drinks except water into this facility. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta, a beloved community where we come together. Okay, I lost my train of thought for a minute. Okay, I'm going to try this again. Please bear with me. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta, where we come together to create a beloved community guided by principles of justice, reason, and compassion to create a more just society. My name is Cheryl Martin. I am pulling a bit of double duty today, both as worship host and as one of the speakers. Why I volunteered for that, I don't know. Anyway, must be. But I digress. I am very happy to be here, very happy to be co-creating this service with Nick Filzen, Josef Patchen, our wonderful tech deck. Thank y'all so much. And all of you, whether you're here in person or watching us via Zoom, welcome, 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 and much love.
Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you all. Our chalice lighting words this morning are going to be the newly installed and instated values and covenant from Article 2 of the UUA bylaws, which essentially is how we promise to be as UUs. And we're going to do it as a responsive reading. A little bit of a tip, when the words go up on the screen, when you see a bold capitalized word, we're all going to say that together in unison with a little bit of enthusiasm, hopefully, and not just, dry. So let's try it with the word love. If you see the word love, you're going to go, love. That's pretty good. Let's try it one more time. Love. Good. So it'll always be at the top of each screen, capitalized, bold. That's you. Everything else will be Cheryl and me. All right. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love.
Inseparable from one another, these shared values are
interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it.
We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships.
Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology.
We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect.
Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive.
We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and our society at large.
Transformation. We adapt to the changing world.
We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages. Never complete and never perfect.
Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope.
We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality.
Equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion.
We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities.
Would you rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, As Tranquil Streams? Please watch the screen for modified lyrics.
Hello, my name is Azaria C., and I'm going to be reading Reflecting on General Assembly, written by Ariana C. Sometime in February, I was given the unique opportunity to serve as a delegate for the UUA General Assembly. One Sunday, Reverend Nick Filzen called me to his office. As a joke, I asked him if I was in trouble. I found this quite humorous, as I was almost certain that I was not in any form of trouble and had nothing to worry about. He said I was not in trouble. I can't remember if he laughed at my joke or not. With a few keystrokes on his ergonomic keyboard, a web page appears on the computer monitor. Upon observation, the web page was indeed something related to the UU Church. I tried to skim the article, some more while the Reverend spoke. However, this task proved challenging as I was both losing the thread in our conversation and retaining little information from the blog post. I say, "Can you actually send this to me in an email?" The Reverend says, "Yes, I can forward you an email." With that squared away, I listened intently as the Reverend spoke about General Assembly. He seemed pretty stoked. He said we would talk more in depth about it in the summer, which was good because I still couldn't make heads or tails out of what was being asked of me. I guess I was pretty stoked too. It was a special and important task. I was flattered to be picked to perform such a vital role in our church. I was afraid I might have gotten too much dip on my chip, but I was excited to vote on things. It made me feel like I could make a change. Just like how the seasons change in the dead of winter, in the early months of the year, you dream of the warm embrace of summer. You dream of Robert's Rules of Order. You dream of voting on whether you should vote or not. Seasons come to pass, and as fall threatens to eclipse the brilliant light of the summer months, Reverend Nick Filzen asked me to write a retrospect about my experience at GA and my feelings towards Unitarian Universalism before, during, and after the General Assembly. I found the General Assembly the ever-flowing torrent stream of soulless HR speak, PowerPoints, and technical difficulties, somewhat impersonal and bureaucratic. I remember thinking, I'm dead and I've been sent to hell. One bodiless face declares that he stands on the uncited land of a people massacred. He says he uses he, him pronouns before dispassionately discussing the next item on the docket. Another face interjects, saying, we aren't doing land acknowledgements anymore. In high school, I remember explaining Unitarian Universalism to a friend, saying, it's just kind of bored atheist, I guess. Going into college, I was somewhat of a bored atheist myself. Eventually, I got a little less bored and a little more curious. You stop into a used bookstore and pick up a new agey text with some pretty far out concepts. It becomes your whole life's philosophy for a few weeks. A childhood friend remarks on how Christ is standing in the room with you, and for a moment you can feel his presence, if only in a gestural sense. You fly to New York in time for Eid Mubarak. I feel that much of our time on earth is spent in pursuit of good company. I feel fortunate to have found a dynamic community of individuals who share the same sparkle in my eye. Kindred spirits coming together to ask questions, explore new ideas, and challenge each other in meaningful ways. Our conversations and collective curiosity create a vibrant tapestry of experiences and insights, enriching our lives and deepening our bonds. When I remember my experience of General Assembly, I don't just remember the superfluous voting and the deliberation like something out of a Monty Python skit. I remember popping popcorn, fidgeting hands, clever remarks. I remember a heated debate and enlivened discussion. I remember beloved community, and I had a swell time.
Okay, testing, testing. Is it working? Okay. I'm Margaret Tuck. I'm a member of the pastoral care team. This is the time in our service where you're invited to come up here and share your joys and sorrows with our community.
Love that each week that we gather here, we can connect and experience and see and witness the full gamut of human experience all within our community. And I just love that each week. So thank you all for sharing of yourselves and being present to those who are sharing themselves. And now it is time for our kids to go continue practicing that being human with our faith formation facilitators. That was the moment in our service where we actively become present, where we tap into being here, being part of this community. I invite you to get comfortable in any way that works best for you, whether that be with your feet on the ground, your back against the back of your seat, sitting tall, or if you bend over in some kind of way to be more present, whatever works best for you. Close your eyes and clasp your hands. And invite you now in the spirit of prayer. Holy Spirit, Spirit of wholeness, Spirit of love, Spirit of kindness and compassion, Spirit of creativity that moves through and around us, especially when we lead with love. Thank you. Thank you for being. Thank you for becoming. Thank you for the community that supports us here. Thank you for all of the joys that we experience each day in connection with others, in connection with nature, in connection. Thank you for the generosity of presence that folks offer here as we share what is most heavy or most buoyant on our hearts. Thank you. We enter this day with so much that we carry. The burden is tough. To be alive sometimes. We experience so much pain and heartache. We witness so much going on in the world that is unfathomable. It's hard to know what to do sometimes. Yet we come together, we continue to work, we continue to move forward together. Behold all of the gamut of experience that we share together here in this spirit of mutuality. We do so because that is how we move toward beloved community. Now, invite us into a sustained moment of silence. Consider all that we hold together and apart. May we be blessed, and may we be a blessing.
Hello again. This is Cheryl, she, her. And I'm going to, although I have some notes to guide me, I am going to be speaking mostly from my heart and what I feel about this process. And just a little bit of a disclosure ahead of time. Part of the challenge of getting my thoughts together and writing these notes involves the resident fur babies seeking attention right when I'm trying to get things together. It's like, it never fails. Seriously though, I am so deeply grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as a delegate for this church. Very grateful to have worked with Nick, Matt Moser, and Ariana C. And it was just such a joy to gather in Nick's office, as this was a virtual service. And this was a virtual assembly rather. And although I had the option of watching it at home, again with the resident fur babies, there was just something wonderful about coming here to gather, creating this mini community of delegates united in this cause of helping just in the process of passing the Article 2 resolution. And we learned from each other. And I think, speaking for myself, I did get some perspective, which was just so enlightening to me. So I am also so grateful that the Article 2 revisions passed. Although I do value and continue to value the 7 principles. They are very dear to me. And I do understand people that may have concerns that we're replacing them. We're not. They're not being replaced. They're incorporated in these values that we now hold. And the revisions are merely adding meat to the bones. They're a further guideline to help us as we continue to create beloved community with love at the center of things. And I just want to add this little caveat as well. Love is not always going to be a nice and neat process. There are going to be questions, anxieties, awkward moments, growing pains. But that's just part of the process, again, of being a living faith and continuing to grow beloved community. And now, at this time, I want to go back a little bit to the value of generosity. Generosity can take a number of forms, among which are the time that we take to serve this community and the financial contributions that we make. For some of us, that may be a challenge, and I'm telling on myself, but we do the best we can. Whatever you can do, every donation, whether big or small, counts, and it makes a difference in helping us sustain this beloved community. And with that being said, will the ushers please come forward? Thank you for your generosity and as well for bearing with me for having somewhat awkward moments a moment ago.
Leading up to the most recent General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association, I felt confident that the revised Article 2 was going to be codified. For the new folks here, Article 2 of the UUA bylaws contains the core ideas, actions, and promises shared by member congregations. It's the covenant across all of Unitarian Universalism. And I was confident and excited that this core covenant would be updated, and we could all move forward together. I wasn't as sure about some of the 4 proposed amendments to the wholesale revisions officially proposed by the Article 2 Study Commission. I thought one would probably pass, the more poetic iteration of the equity value statement, but the other 3 felt like they could go either way. Another equity amendment and the potential addition of a reason and peace amendment. With a 75% threshold, passing was always going to be difficult, yet a good-sized group of folks were passionate about them. Nothing was etched in stone. Generally, though, I entered the week of GA feeling pretty darn positive about it all. My intuition was based on the large and small conversations I'd witnessed at the previous 3 General Assemblies, conversations with equally excited clergy colleagues, and the fantastic town hall conversation that your GA delegates held here about a month before the event itself. Based on the evidence and maybe a touch of spiritual influence, I had faith that our faith would make significant progress in June 2024. Yet, as GA progressed, The final arguments for and against started in earnest. I got worried. My faith in our faith wavered. Don't get me wrong, a lot of the conversation throughout the week was positive, but there were some rather loud dissenters. Dissent isn't bad. I love dissent, especially when critiquing an inequitable and unjust power structure. Yet, bad faith dissent steeped in the grasp for a power structure that once served your individual comfort and privilege less ambiguously is bad, is harmful, destructive. The first 2 days of GA were mostly spent discussing those 4 amendments I mentioned. These conversations went okay, nothing too unraveling. As I had guessed, the equity amendment, which improved on the previously proposed language, overwhelmingly passed. The proposed language had been, we declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. Yet the amended language matches what we read together during the chalice lighting. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. The other 3 amendments overwhelmingly did not pass. There were some decent arguments for the second equity amendment, yet ultimately there was too much potential harm caused by the words in all 3. And it seemed that nearly 90% of the delegates agreed. I was more than happy with these results, and they matched how I voted. Only once we got through the amendment process, which carefully followed the rules dictated by UUA bylaws, as boring as they might be, we could move on to discuss and vote on the whole proposal as amended. I'll get back to that in a moment. Now, throughout the week, we also discussed some other tough topics, including a business resolution which named the affirmation of transgender, non-binary, and intersex people as a fundamental expression of our faith. It was overwhelmingly adopted, the passage of which was and is a bold step toward creating a more just and equitable world, a more loving world. Yet, the conversation was tremendously painful for so many of our beloveds who experienced life with those identities. Some truly awful and discompassionate things were said in the name of science, science which has often been disproven or discredited. Truly discompassionate things were said because of the fallacious belief that I can say whatever I want as a UU without consequence. Now, I, for one, was dismayed at the cold and callous comments, disheartened. A lot of other folks were left wondering, once again, can this faith really be a safe place for me? The pain was palpable, even as we were separated through virtual screens. My faith in us bent. It could have been broken if not for the beautiful pastoral and inspiring closing comments by Reverend Jakaran Obaoya, who was, as you may remember, a guest in the pulpit here last year. I will not repeat the unkind words. I will gladly echo Reverend Jakaran, who said, quote, "To my trans, non-binary, intersex, or gender diverse beloveds, lean in. Lean in. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please do not leave this space without feeling my love and the love of others who see you as divine. I love you. You are divine. I love you. You are holy. I love you. You know who you are. I love you. You are worthy of being whoever you need to be to survive and thrive in this world. I love you, and I will say it for my remaining 50 seconds of allotted time if I need to. I love you. 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 Do not leave the space without knowing that you are loved. If you need a reminder, call me, email me, text me. What we will not do in this space is let you go another moment believing anything other than the fact that you are loved. This was such an excellent example of our faith, our good faith in action. It showed what we can be, what we aspire to be, if love is indeed at the center. The discussion around the full Article 2 proposal as amended would mostly dominate the rest of the assembly. As confident and as excited as I was entering the week, I had moments when I sincerely thought the needed changes wouldn't be adopted. There were delegates who spoke, who shared they were mandated by their congregations to vote no across the board. Those congregations' particular bylaws dictated that all their GA delegates must vote along with the decision of the simple majority of the membership. This included large congregations like the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego. So even if the congregation voted 51 to 49% to not pass, 100% of their delegates had to vote no. This didn't feel like inclusive democracy to me, and it didn't match my understanding of the right of conscience that we empowered our delegates with. This process didn't feel like it was truly indicative of what Unitarian Universalists felt. I feared we were about to experience just another case of tyranny of the hegemony. Things are great for me, so why change? As the conversation continued with similar examples, I definitely worried about the math reaching the required 66% threshold to pass. Additionally, several folks said they wouldn't be voting for the changes because they weren't good enough or were too wordy. They agreed change was necessary. Yet because they weren't perfect, they should be thrown away altogether. Start from scratch. Either these were bad faith arguments, or these folks didn't understand that if Article 2 didn't pass this year, it would be multiple years before it could be discussed again at all because of UUA bylaw rules. Regardless of the reasoning, a vote no would halt progress altogether. However, if Article 2 did pass, folks could and can now suggest amendments as early as next year. The UUA bylaws wisely have the practice of progress over perfection built in. And aren't we always trying to progress, develop, become, move closer to love, bend that arc toward justice? Despite my worries, the full Article 2 proposal did indeed pass, with 80% of the delegates voting in the affirmative. The ebb and flow path of my faith in Unitarian Universalism throughout the week ended in a net gain. My faith, like our shared faith, progressed. It wasn't and isn't perfect, and I'm more proud of our faith than ever, more grounded in it than ever. Theologically, if not legally, we are talking about bylaws here, we can now officially and unwaveringly say love is at the center of our tradition, inseparable from the values that guide our actions. Reverend Jacaren modeled this love for us. Now that it's been passed, it's time for us to model it ourselves as we transform again and again toward a just, compassionate world for all. The 2024 General Assembly marked a pivotal moment in our Unitarian Universalist justice journey. By centering love as our core value, we have reaffirmed our commitment to a faith that is inclusive, compassionate, and justice-oriented. This new declaration of faith is a call to action and a spiritual aspiration. The spirit of wholeness lives through creative action, our own creative action. We can now declare with clarity, love and the radical inclusion inherent within is the foundation upon which we create beloved community. We now have a clearer vision of a world where all life is cherished, where justice prevails, and the earth is honored. As we move forward, may we remember our faith is not merely about personal salvation, yet about collective liberation. Like our shared values, our lives are inseparable from one another, connected and connecting through embodied love. When our faith in a broken and often brutal world wanes, may it be restored in that connection, in the holy and sacred work of others, which points toward hope. Despite a few bad faith actors, the decisions made at GA 2024 by a large, loving coalition of people of good faith, those decisions offer an immediate beacon of hope for us. Without taking away the sting of spiteful behavior by some, more people love than not. May we carry this hope, this faith into our congregations, our communities, and our world. May we embody our values with courage, compassion, and conviction. May we create a beloved community. Blessed be.
Would you rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn, Not in Vain the Distance Beacons?
I invite you to remain risen in body or spirit for one final brief moment. Though the journey will be precarious, our shared and sacred GPS has been updated to reflect the roads as they are now. Though we extinguish this flame, we will still experience wildfires which block the path ahead. May we get through them calmly. May we get through them together. And we practice doing so right now with an unannounced fire drill. As we gather outside, let us hold each other's hands if you are comfortable with that. And we sing together, Spirit of Life. Starting pitch. Blessed be and amen. What a great